it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talking Wolves for yet again another match preview. Wolves are back in the Premier League after a little international break. It probably came at the right time as well after a defeat to Everton, but we'll be talking about that today and our opponents, Chelsea. My name is Dave, but alongside me, as you can see today, is Matt Cooper. Matt, how's it going, man?
I'm all right, thank you. Nice to be back on the preview.
Yeah.
Been a short while.
Yeah, no problem, man. Looking forward, obviously, to Wolves back at Molineux Saturday, 3 p.m. kick-off as well, Matt. Don't see many of them at the moment, especially with us being in Europe. I think it's going to be a rare thing this season, isn't it?
Last season as well, we had very few 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs at Molineux.
5 or 6 in the tops, wasn't there?
Yeah,
There was only 3 or 4.
just because most of our games were selected for telly towards the end of the season when we started to pick up form and on that European 7th place spot. But yeah, it'd be nice. It's I love a 3 o'clock of a Saturday. It's a shame it's not as sunny anymore, but I'm sure everyone will be tanked up in time beforehand.
Talking about that, our sponsors for today's video is Fan Ales. You can check them out here. They've been supporting us for the last month or so. You can go check them out. I'll make sure I leave a website in the description down below. But yeah, pretty cool gift pack there, as you can see on the screen. They do 3 different beers in each pack. So it's a dark beer, a lager, and a pale ale. So you've got Hi-Ho Wolverhampton, Black and Gold, and the Duke. But as I say, I'll leave a link to them in the description down below. And a big thanks for Fan Ales for supporting us again. But yeah, Matt, Wolves-Chelsea. It's a big game again for Wolves, but a game almost that feels sort of like a must-win. It's still no wins in the first, 4 games for Wolves this season. 3 draws and 1 defeat. And you could say Everton was arguably the worst performance of the season, but you could probably see it coming after the disaster that was Burnley at home as well.
Yeah, I mean, the signs were there at Burnley. We got away with one. Didn't really create anything clear-cut, and obviously the penalty at the end saved us. Everton, we scored 2 goals. So if you scored 2 goals away from home, you'd be pretty disappointed not to come away with something. And 3 very sloppy errors from the back 3/5 cost us. And the thing is, Everton weren't even that good themselves, and that's not like being petty. They just weren't. It wasn't a great game of football. So to come away conceding 3 of those goals when we scored 2 decent goals, it's frustrating. It's not worrying, but I will start to worry should we not pick up any points against the next 3. So like that Chelsea, Palace, and Watford, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Then I would start to worry. But if we can get a couple of wins out under our belt in the next 3 games, then we'll be straight back up the table. So it is a little concerning, but I'm not worried.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting start for our opponents, Chelsea, as well. Frank Lampard off to a disastrous start, losing out 4-0 to Manchester United. They then got a 1-1 draw against Leicester, who've been a good side so far this season. Obviously, we saw that on the opening day. Yeah. Just about scraped past Norwich, obviously conceding 2 goals there, but coming out 3-2 winners. And in their last game against Sheffield United, throwing away a 2-goal lead at half-time as well. 2-0 up at half-time, you should be cruising. And a Kurt Zouma own goal obviously ended it as a draw. But obviously, Matt, on paper, Chelsea are a very tough team. But last season when we played Chelsea at home, it was almost a catalyst to the rest of our season because we had such a dreadful November. We played them at the start of December, got that win. It was a catalyst for the great form of Diogo Jota. We saw Dendoncker, I think, for the first time in the league action. And that win just boosted us forward, didn't it?
Catapulted us, didn't it? And we kind of... All right, we had losses to like Huddersfield and that, but that was our bad period. And I said at the time, like, I'm glad we're going through it now rather than in April, May, when it really matters. Little did we know that we wouldn't be scrapping for relegation. We'd be up there fighting for the top 6, top 7 place. But yeah, the Chelsea game last season, obviously they got the goal from a deflected shot. And when your luck's going against you, you just think, okay, it's going to be another loss here. Chelsea are a good side. They had Hazard. If ever of the one-man team, if ever I saw one last season, he was terrific.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a massive loss for them, but we always said about Jota, once he gets that goal, he'll be flying. And since that game, he was probably our standout player, I'd say, for the remainder of the season, especially going into like the new year. We saw Dendoncker, Nuno changed his shape, and it worked. And scoring 2 goals coming from behind against Chelsea was no mean feat, especially the side they were last season. They're not as strong this season, and I think it's going to be a really good game. Two teams who have got things to prove to the fans. Nuno will want to make a statement, not to panic, not to worry, because you know what fans are like. If we don't win this game, that's what 5 games without a win in the league. Not
Mm-hmm.
it'd be people start to be a little concerned. So we want to steady the ship and just reassure the fans there's nothing to worry about. And what better way to do it than getting a win over Chelsea, Europa League winners.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Chelsea, it's a massive transition period for them. This time last season, they were top of the Premier League on match week 5. So it's going to be an interesting game for sure. Interestingly, they lost Hazard. They had their transfer ban. They weren't really able to strengthen another, a good team that they already had. But obviously, they do need to add that quality there. Lost the likes of David Luiz as well. So there is small gaps here and there. But obviously, it's seen the emergence of, a possible Wolves man. It could have been a possible Wolves man, Tammy Abraham. I think everyone, probably 9 out of 10 people, would have expected Olivier Giroud to be the key striker this season. But Tammy Abraham's come in and started firing the goals. Can you see him being the key man for them on Saturday?
Well, he's done well. There's always question marks surrounding Abraham from his Swansea days. I think he got 4 or 5 Premier League goals in a full season. So he dropped back down to Villa in the Championship. Some say found his level, scored loads and loads of goals and come up, and he's made a really good start. I like Tammy. I think he works hard. His hold up play is good, and he's a natural finisher. Was kind of gutted we didn't get him when he was at Villa, but I think Chelsea wanted about 45-50 million for him, which is ludicrous. But yeah, he started well, and as long as you've got a ball in and around the box, he's going to be a threat. So the back three, which obviously we'll go on to, needs to be alert. But the man who's really kind of come forward is Mason Mount. He's been a bit of a revelation at Chelsea. I mean, at Derby, I didn't really rate him that much. I didn't think he pulled any trees up, but he's come into this team. He's been chucked in at the deep end, and Frank obviously trusts him. He sees him day in, day out, and he sees a player in there. I don't know how he gets a looking over Maddison for the England squad, but that's a debate for another time. But Chelsea aren't the side they used to be, but make no bones about it, they're still a top side.
Yeah, they've got some dangerous players. Even the firepower on the bench, such as, they've got in the last game had the likes of Willian and so on the bench. I know they are having a few injury issues at the moment, so it will be interesting to see who's in and who's missing. I know Kante had been out for the last few weeks or so. He may be back for this game. And I know Emerson, who's been great for them at left back, did pick up a knock on international duty as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they come in and how Chelsea line up. I think with the amount of players they've got, Frank's using a lot of young players. It'll be interesting to see how they line up. Before we move on, people in the comment section down below as well. Obviously, we are talking a little bit about the opposition here. The last couple of match previews have been with an opposition fan. Let me know if you enjoy those or not, because I know they're quite sort of 10-15 minutes of just pure opposition talk, whether I should just bring back the opposition preview for those or what have you. But we'll move on to mainly Wolves chat now, and I think the biggest talking point is that back three with Willy Bolly getting a red card against Everton. Wolves have now got a big gap in that our key defender, probably our best defender there. We put a poll on Twitter earlier, who should fill his place. I put the 3 options as Jesus Vallejo, Romain Saiss and Max Kilman, and 61% of the votes, there's almost 1,400 votes, were for Vallejo. Saiss with 36 and Max Kilman with a sorry 3%. Matt, if you had to pick, if you were Nuno, say for argument's sake, at this time, it is Cody and Bennett as the other two, who would you put in that left centre-back hole?
It's got to be Vallejo. Saiss for me doesn't cut it as a centre half. I really like him. I think he's a good player and he does his job well. But in the middle of the park, I don't think he's cut out for that left centre half role. Mm-hmm. Vallejo's played there for Real Madrid, albeit in a 2 rather than a 3. But I think it has to be him against Torino in the first half. That Belotti kept paying on too many, causing loads of troubles, and he looked a little complacent, but he grew into the game. His distribution's good. So yeah, for me, it's got to be him. I don't know if Willy Bolly had booked a cruise or something, because obviously getting himself sent off and then deciding he doesn't want to play for the Ivory Coast on international duty. He must have had a med cruise for 3 weeks booked or something, because there's some correlation there. Yeah. But you can't replace Bolly. Moment of madness at Everton. He's lost his head. Was poor on the third goal and obviously getting sending off. But for me, there's not many centre-halves in the league who are better than him. So to lose him is a massive blow. But again, it's a chance for Vallejo to put himself in the shop window. He'll want to prove a point to Wolves and Real Madrid. I know he wants to go back there, but this is his chance to play against the top side and to show us why he's come through the ranks at Real Madrid and why he's so highly rated in the Spanish setup.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting on that point. Moving on to predicted lineups, because obviously it's sometimes very hard to predict that lineup after an international break. I think we both agree, obviously, Patricio in goal. We'll stick with your back three, say for argument's sake, of Bennett, Cody and Vallejo. Left and right wing back, does Doc come back in or is Adama undroppable at the moment, Matt?
He's always undroppable. I don't know what's happening with Doc. He's had that operation. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. It's non-footballing, so...
It's a bit weird, I don't know what that is.
I wouldn't even want to hazard a guess at what it could be. But for me, it's got to be Johnny and Adama. Vinagre looked... The last two games has looked like a cat in headlights. He hasn't looked good at all. Not great going forward. I think it's just best to pull him out there, get him out the firing line, because if he plays against Chelsea and has a bad game, you know the fans will get on his back despite his age and his lack of experience. They will get on his back, and he doesn't need that. So if I was Nuno, I'd be pulling him out of there, getting Johnny, who's so dependent, reliable as a defensive fullback, and he's also improved his game going forward. And obviously you've got Adana on the right, who's he's been a revelation since Nuno's put him there at right wing back. So that's the full backs for me.
Yeah. I think
maybe if Doc is...
Go on, sorry.
It's all right, mate. Maybe if Doc he's back in contention to play, then bring him on with 25, 30 minutes to go for Adama, if we're winning or not. Then, but if we're not, leave him off. But for me, it's got to be Johnny and Doc. It's that midfield three for me that's the question marks, to be honest.
Okay, well, I know going back to Adama, a Chelsea fan has just put on Twitter, if we play Alonso, you're going to win. So he could have a bit of a field day on the left-hand side. Can you see Nuno possibly starting Doc and then maybe bringing Adama on at 45 to 60 minutes again? He's done that in the last couple of games, hasn't he? It's not really worked out,
has it? Worked. Surely, if something's not worked twice, you won't then do it again the week after. It's just doesn't really make sense to me. And Adama, although he had a quietish game against Everton, he's still earned
his place, hasn't he, really?
Yeah, and they stopped giving him the ball. I know Luca Dean got closer to him, but every time he got, he had the beating of him, and he skinned him for the goal. So although he was at fault with Bennett for the second, he didn't really do that much wrong. So for me, you can't really drop him, especially for Doc, who every time he's played has looked like he's blown out his arse. Yeah. He's not fit, and obviously another setback with this injury. For me, you've got to go over Dharma and then look to bring Doc on, really. Okay,
well, yeah, you mentioned the midfield three. Most would probably say Neves, Coutinho, and then Donker. Who would you go for then? Or do you think Saïss deserves a shout? I mean, he played against Everton.
Saïss, Coutinho, and then Donker. I'll drop Neves.
Okay. Any reason? Do you just think Neves not been good?
I just think he's been poor. He's had a poor start to the season, really. So has Dendoncker. Coutinho's been okay, but Saïss has probably performed better than Donker and Neves for me. No doubt that they'll get better. It's just it's that start of the season, a bit groggy, a bit rusty, and they will perform. I mean, that's the worst I've seen Donker play at Everton. Yeah. Just every time. That midfield three just didn't work with Neves, Saïss, and Dendoncker. It's just there wasn't that much discipline, and Everton were just. As weird as it sounds,
there was not really any creativity as such there. I think Neves has got the creativity. I just think the role he was set up in, it didn't work.
When Neves is coming, I know he scored that wonder goal against United in the game. I didn't think he played that bad. He has struggled a bit. So again, make a statement to him and dropping you. You're not been good enough, and that'll be getting him chomping at the bit. But when Coutinho came on against Everton, we did see that midfield perform a lot better. The midfield were coming across as a unit rather than just one player going to the ball. It's such an easy press to break when you play like that. And then he came on and we kind of moved across as a midfield unit rather than it just being all over the place. He brings that kind of organisation and experience to the team, and he's our best player along with Jota on his day. So for me, it's Saïss, who hasn't really done that much wrong, Dendoncker and Neves.
And Matinho rather than Neves.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's all right.
Well, no,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
four.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's interesting that this year that all of a sudden, players like Sace that couldn't really get a sniff in the side, he pulled out of the Morocco squad. I don't know what the reasons behind that were. Possibly had a slight knock at the start of the international break, but he's been in Wolverhampton the last couple of weeks. Matinho only played 5 minutes in the 2 Portugal games. Neves did play 90 in the most recent game. Then Donker played 90 in the most recent game for Belgium.
Donker didn't look great,
Yeah, I didn't
Kept
watch
giving
it.
the ball away. No, he weren't. He could have got Kevin De Bruyne because it didn't matter.
So yeah, I think it is interesting that this season, this early stage anyway, Nuno does have a little bit of a headache on that because last season, I mean, throughout the whole of the second half, all of those just seemed undroppable. So they
could pretty much predict us.
So they could get away with a 5 or 6 out of 10 performance, but this year I think they're going to have to be 7 or 8, or Nuno could consider their place. But that I think there's another headache up front as well. Patrick Catrone knocking on the door for some starts. Got one against Everton. Obviously didn't score a goal, but created a couple of good opportunities. Raul Jimenez, who played a full 90 at 3 a.m. the other night for Mexico, again in a 4-0 loss to Argentina. Or Diogo Jota, who's just sat on Portugal's bench, so he should be pretty fresh and fit. Who would you start against Chelsea?
Catrone and Jota for me. You got to give Jimenez a rest at some point. But I thought Catrone looked good against Everton.
Yeah,
he registered more shots at goal than anyone else on the pitch. Or he asked the question, well, why didn't he score? I mean, he forced a good save from Pickford. That's his first start since he's been in the league.
in the league,
yeah. And his first touch, I mean, he's unbelievable. And his movement, he likes to peel off the back of the defender and try and get in behind it. He's an intelligent player, and I think given time, he will get goals. And Jota's got to go in from the start for me because against Everton, he didn't really have that much time to get on the ball, and he kind of grows into games, doesn't he? Bring him on, he doesn't make that much of an impact. So for me, he's got to start and then bring Raul on. Should we need him? Hopefully, we don't.
Do you think Wolves? I always just tend, as much as I love Catrone and Jota start, I just always think that. Do you not think Wolves struggle a little bit without Jimenez against these stronger teams?
Yeah, I mean he's key to how we play. Just for his work rate alone. Obviously Jota and Catrone work tirelessly, but Jimenez is it's like a Duracell bunny. He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And we press from the front, and I think it's really important to how we play. And if you look at the player he was this time last year compared to this, it's like a completely different player. I wasn't convinced the first couple of months. I wasn't convinced he was the man, and I was like, bring someone in January, but he's now one of the most formidable strikers in Europe. And I know it sounds daft to say keep him on the bench, but I'm just concerned that he's going to burn out, and after Christmas we're going to be down to 2 strikers again. So it's a tough one because Catrone's not really done much wrong. Jota's not been great, so it could be anyone's.
Yeah, it will be very, very interesting to see the lineup. Jimenez, the only striker to score, or the only player to score home and away against Chelsea last year in the Premier League, so we know what he's capable of. Chelsea are going to know what he's capable of. But Nuno does sound like he's got a bit of a selection headache. With the centre-backs, who's he going to play there instead of Willy Bolly? Wing-backs, does Doc come back in? Does Vinagre keep his place? Midfield as well, Romain Sace could dislodge that midfield three. Patrick Catrone.
Jordan Graham could come in at this right.
Bring him in. Carabao
He's in the squad, so yeah.
Moving on to the hardest bit of them all though, Matt. Score prediction. What you thinking?
2-1 Wolves.
It's a safe bet, innit? I think I'd back that as well.
2-1 Wolves. I think we might see an Adama goal.
I reckon you'll say that every week until he scores.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to put a 5 on 2-1 Wolves Adama to score any time.
I'll rate it.
And donate that towards the holiday fund. So yeah.
I'll rate that. I'm backing a Catrone, doing the old celebration in front of the South Bank.
You'll be doing it on screen now.
I definitely just did it. So in a 2-1 win for Wolves. So I'm backing that. Score predictions should be running across the screen if they're not already. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below as well. Matt, thanks for joining me today.
Yes, pal.
And we'll be back obviously for the match review, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Wolves will get a victory, and we'll have the fans' reviews as well. Until next time, guys, be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you all very, very soon.